Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important video update. Tonight we're going to be talking about some strategies for finally putting an end to these ridiculous lockdown laws and really starting to kickstart our economy again. So what is one of the most obvious and one of the most powerful strategies? I've covered it on numerous videos, we've covered it on our radio shows, and it really does come down to that My Will letter. Okay, sending off those My Will letters, especially to your premiers, whatever state you're in, especially those in Victoria with Dictator Dan, okay, they really do get the message across, and they are a really strong way of lawfully expressing your desire to the Parliament, to your representatives. Remember, our elected representatives exist to do our bidding. They are there to express our will, our thoughts, our desires on the floor of Parliament. They are not there to make a name for themselves, especially like Dictator Dan seems to want to do. Okay, that's not their role. It's not to serve their own agendas. It's to serve the people, to serve their constituents. Now, I want you to try and think like a corrupt politician for a moment. I know it might be hard, but just think, what is it that they want to do? They want to earn as much money as possible for as little money as for as little effort as possible, and just go and enjoy it. Now, of course, Dictator Dan, he's in a real spot of bother at the moment, as are a lot of the other premiers, because people are rising up, people are having protests, people are fighting back, people are arcing up, and they're not allowing them to enjoy all that hard-earned money in peace anymore. Dictator Dan just gave himself another pay rise recently, but he's got no time to enjoy it, the poor guy. Okay, and that's because people are harassing them. Now, I know it might be hard for a lot of you to think like a corrupt politician, so let's put it this way instead. Most of us have been locked down for, 6 weeks or so. A lot of you I know out there have children. So, just imagine you've been locked down with your kids. The minute they're quiet, you're happy. Am I right? Absolutely. Now, you don't care what they're off doing as long as they're quiet and they're not harassing you. You're happy. Now, they might be off in the background fighting amongst themselves, arguing amongst themselves. Again, as long as they're leaving you out of it, you really don't care most of the time, right? Now, when they come and keep harassing you with all their petty issues, that's when it becomes a problem for you. It's exactly the same for the politicians. Okay, now you might try yelling and screaming at your kids. You might even try locking them in their bedrooms, for example. Okay, but if they keep hounding you, they keep harassing you, they keep on you, eventually you just go, all right, what do you want? What do you want? Just leave me alone. And it's exactly the same with the politicians. So when we keep bombarding them with My Will letters, they get frustrated, they get fed up, and they go, all right, well, what do you want? And this is exactly what's starting to happen. Believe me, they would keep the lockdown in place for 6 months if they thought they could get away with it. But they're not getting away with it because people are arcing up, people are firing up, people are bombarding them with these letters, and they, of course, one of their roles is that they have to respond to these letters. And that is why they are so, so powerful. Okay, now, having said that, I want to make a point. Okay, there are groups out there, there are websites out there that have basic pro forma letters. We even have a basic pro forma letter. Now, if you're brand new to this, if this is your first time learning about your rights in any way, it's better to use those letters than do nothing, of course. But the next step is to really understand the thinking behind the letters. Okay, that's the key. Learning about your rights, mostly the Commonwealth Constitution, is so vitally important, and learning how to draft those letters, that is a key factor. Look, if you just want letters to download and write, get them from the Bank Secrets Revealed book. Okay, you want letters to write to your banks or write to the debt collectors about, credit cards and unsecured loans, go to the website. There's a link in the description. They're all there. You just copy and paste. If you've got some sort of a fine, a traffic fine, failing to wear a bicycle helmet fine, a COVID-19 quarantine fine, you want a pro forma letter, great. Go to the Aussie Speeding Fines website. Again, there's a link in the description. Download it, copy and paste your details. It's a great start. But if you want to go beyond that, if you want to learn the thinking behind the letters, this is what you need. The Know Your Rights Essential Step-by-Step Manual for Understanding and Exercising Your Rights. Again, it's available on our website. There's a link in the description. But this is the key. Know Your Rights Group, we're very, very big on the whole concept of give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. But teach him how to fish and you feed him for life. We want to feed you for life. We want to give you the knowledge. We want to give you the understanding behind how those letters are written. Yes, writing my will letters is great, but you want to put your personal twist on it. You want to put your personal spin on it. You want to include the topics that are of interest to you, whether that's vaccinations or 5G or flu vax or whatever it is. Okay, so it's important to understand your rights and know how these letters are drafted. Okay, that is the real key. Now, again, letters are a great starting point. If you're doing, if you're sitting there just twiddling your thumbs doing nothing, they're a great first point. But what we want to urge and encourage people to do is go another step beyond that. We are seeing heaps and heaps of protests around the country. We've all seen the video footage from the recent Melbourne protests just last weekend. There was the Sydney protest last weekend. There's the Exercising Your Rights protests. There's similar ones going on in Perth, in WA, and they're going on all around the country. And that is fantastic because the politicians are seeing this. The politicians are saying, listen, people are ignoring us now. Okay, for the first few weeks, everyone behaved, everyone sat there inside and they didn't go anywhere, they didn't do anything. Okay, they just did as they were told and they said, good. They're doing what they're told. We can go off and we can just enjoy our lives now. Okay, no one's harassing us. But then the letters started. And then more letters and more letters. And then all of a sudden it came out in the media. And, don't even bother sending in letters. Don't waste your postage because we're just going to put them in the bin. Well, you've just admitted to breaking the law then because you've got a duty of care and you've got a responsibility in your position to respond to those letters. Then they send out their little minions, the policy enforcers, the police. Okay, go and arrest these people. But what for? Under what authority? Under what power? Under what crime? Okay? So now, yes, sure, we're seeing a couple of videos come out where a few people are being arrested, but there's plenty more videos out there with people who know their rights, they know the things to say to the police, they know the questions to ask, they know the responses to come back with, and the police are just coming up and just walking away saying, no worries, have a nice day. Okay, and there's far more videos out there than there are of people getting arrested. But again, even the ones where people are getting arrested, these are all blown up on the media to make people fearful of going to these protests. Okay, Renee, the lovely lady who had her 4-year-old son, ripped out of her arms by completely overbearing police on the weekend. Even she, we've spoken to her personally. She came on our radio show on Tuesday night. So if you want to know the truth behind what really happened at that protest, which was really just people walking up and down the street exercising. If you want to know the real reason why she took her child with her, be sure to listen to that podcast. It's also being replayed on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. But she's even said, listen, despite everything else that went on, it's such an empowering process. Okay, I've had a number of Zoom calls with different groups from all around the country, and they said, you know what, Mike, the one thing, it's so empowering when you learn about your rights and you start taking some action to stand up for them. And that's the one thing we just can't, portray or explain on these videos or our radio shows or in our book. But jump on Facebook and just talk to people who've done this. It's so empowering. It just gives you such great confidence when you understand what your rights really are. And when you understand why and how you have these rights and how to exercise them, it changes your whole life. Okay? So, the people who've been, arrested, they're going right back to the next protest. They're not shying away going, oh no, I got arrested, I better not go again. Hell no. They're going to be out there again. Now, we've heard that, I think at the end of the month, 30th of May or something, there's supposed to be protests going on right around the country. And we would encourage everybody to get involved in those. Okay? Be proactive. Take action. Send the governments of this country a loud and clear message that this will not be tolerated anymore. Okay, people get on and they make these comments, oh, you're so selfish, you're worried about your rights, and what about the life of my family member or whatever? Okay, but what about the 1 million people that have just had to join the dole queue in the last 4 or 5 weeks because they've lost their jobs? What about their rights? What about their lives? Okay, what about the thousands of people that have committed suicide? What about the thousands of instances of domestic violence that have occurred because of this lockdown? What about their rights? Okay, so think a little bit more clearly. Think about the bigger picture. It's more than just you. Okay, there's so many people, so many industries that have been absolutely devastated because of this lockdown. Yeah, sure, a few people have died, but it's been just a small handful in the great scheme of things, which, as I've explained before, with all due respect, they had underlying issues, the majority of them anyway. Okay, don't allow the governments to get away with this anymore. Okay, take a stand for what you believe in, what you know is right, whatever that happens to be. Because as I say to people all the time, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So, I'm going to leave you with this parting question, and that is simply this. What do you stand for? What do you stand for? So I want you to think about that, and I want you to take action in alignment with that. And if you want to take a stand for your rights, the first step you've got to do is you've got to understand what they are. You've got to get your head around them. You've got to learn them. So please jump on our website, knowyourrightsgroup.com.au, get your head around what your rights are, and start to take action, start to learn them, and go out and encourage others, inspire and empower others through your actions to do the same as well. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. We're going to be back with another very, very powerful video on Sunday night. We're going to be talking about this huge surgence in the anti-vax movement and our thoughts on that and what it really means. So until then, have a great weekend, have a great couple of days, and we'll talk to you all again Sunday night at 8:30. And don't forget to listen for our podcast replay Saturday morning on our radio show page at knowyourrightsgroup.com.au, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Thanks. Have a great night.